The heavy wooden courtroom doors towered in front of me like the gates of a battlefield. For a heartbeat, I just stood there, chest heaving, palms slick with cold sweat, knowing that once I stepped inside, nothing in our lives would ever be the same again. The air smelled faintly of polished wood and old paper. A scent that carried decades of secrets and verdicts. I pushed the doors open. The echo of my footsteps rolled down the marble floor. Like distant thunder, Michael moved beside me, each step on his crutches slow but determined. His body betrayed him, but his spirit remained unbroken between our joined hands. Little Sarah's fingers trembled as she clutched mine. Her eyes were wide, but her courage shone brighter than any light I had ever seen. The courtroom felt eerily silent. Every whisper, every camera shutter seemed to vanish. All eyes turned toward us. And then she appeared. Jessica, my former daughter-in-law. The woman who had promised love and delivered betrayal. The woman who blamed my son for the accident that left him crippled. The woman who tried to take Sarah away, not out of love, but greed. She walked in wearing a designer dress that screamed wealth not worth, heels clicking like the sharp ticking of a clock counting down my patience. Her smirk told me one thing: she believed she had already won. Michael's hand shook beneath mine, and he lowered his gaze. Once he had been strong, athletic, and full of pride. Now he was a target, a man labeled unfit. I leaned closer to him and whispered, soft enough for only him to hear, "Not today. She doesn't get to win today." Judge Morales entered, his presence slicing through the tension like a blade, stern, unreadable. The kind of man who saw through lies before they were even spoken. "Court is now in session," he announced. Jessica's lawyer, Jennifer Rivers, rose gracefully, her voice smooth and rehearsed. "Your Honor, my client seeks sole custody. Mr. Villasauer is physically dependent and mentally unstable." Unstable? Weak? My chest tightened. This man would crawl through fire to see his daughter smile again. I could feel Michael's knuckles turning white on the crutches, but I remained silent. The calm before the storm. Judge Morales shifted his gaze to me. Every eye in the room followed. "And you, Mrs. Villasauer, do you have anything to say in your son's defense?" I rose slowly, smoothing my coat. Every motion deliberate, every breath measured, and when I spoke, my voice carried steady, unwavering. "Your Honor, the truth has waited long enough. Today, justice will finally wake. You will see why the man they call unfit is the only one capable of giving Sarah the life she deserves." Jessica's smile faltered, just a fraction. Her fingers brushed against a small device hidden in her sleeve, a move she thought private. But the courtroom had ears, and the device betrayed her before she even realized it. A hush fell over the room. Sarah squeezed my hand tighter. My heart thudded against my ribs, a steady drum of defiance. This wasn't just a custody battle, this was a war for family, for truth, for survival. And I, Linda Villasauer, mother, grandmother, woman they thought was done, was ready. Ready to fight, to reveal the secrets they tried to bury, to stand tall until the very end. The courtroom waited, breath held, time slowed, and in that pregnant pause, I knew the real battle was about to begin. The first witnesses shuffled to the stand. Jessica parents. Their smiles were tight, rehearsed, brittle, like porcelain ready to shatter. They spoke of their daughter as if she were flawless, a martyr of her own selfless life. And Michael? They painted him as weak, incapable, a man unworthy of his own daughter. Each word landed like a cold, sharp blade, cutting into the heart of the son I had raised to be strong. I watched Michael lower his gaze, his shoulders hunched, his knuckles gripping the crutches until they would bit into his palms. The humiliation radiated off him, thick enough to make the air in the courtroom feel suffocating. I could see the storm behind his eyes, the shame, the fear, the quiet anger simmering just beneath the surface. When it was our turn, I rose slowly. Every eye in the courtroom seemed to latch onto me, some curious, some skeptical, all tense. "Your Honor," I began, my voice steady but carrying the weight of years of pain. "They speak of responsibility. Yet where were they when my son's life hung in the balance?" I turned toward Jessica, father, my gaze sharp enough to cut glass. He faltered, the carefully practiced mask of confidence cracking. "You celebrated your daughter's new life with a stranger, while my son fought for his. In a hospital bed. Is that what you call family duty?" I asked, letting the question hang in the room like a guillotine. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom, spreading like a silent wave of realization. Yet Jessica didn't flinch. No remorse, no shame. She stared at Michael with the coldness of someone observing a flaw she wished to erase. A flaw she could not tolerate. Jennifer stood again, her smirk barely hiding her panic. Mrs. Villasauer, you are not a lawyer anymore. You have no right to make demands in this court. She sneered. I let a faint, cold smile touch my lips. Not a lawyer. Perhaps, but truth. Truth is still my language, I said. My words landed with the force of a hammer striking steel. Her smirk faltered. For the first time, uncertainty crept across her face. I turned to Judge Morales, my eyes locking with his. He had seen injustice, fought it before, and now he was witnessing it again. This time in a room where innocence itself hung in the balance. Your Honor, I said, my voice firm, unwavering. We request that Sarah be allowed to speak privately with the court-appointed counselor. Her voice, her truth matters more than anyone else's in this courtroom. The judge leaned back, considering, then nodded slowly, deliberately. Approved. Jessica's jaw dropped. She leaned toward Jennifer, whispering frantically. Panic, raw and unguarded, flashed across her face for the first time. Under the table, Michael squeezed my hand with a force that spoke more than words could. Mom, thank you, he whispered, his voice cracking like old but breaking under pressure. I smiled. But I did not let myself celebrate. Not yet. The storm was far from over. It was only beginning, gathering strength. As we left the courtroom for a short recess, I bent down to Sarah's level. She clutched her teddy bear so tightly I feared it might rip. Her eyes, wide and glistening, reflected fear and confusion beyond her ears. Grandma, she whispered, trembling. What if Mommy gets mad again? I brushed a curl from her forehead, holding her gaze. Sweetheart, you just tell the truth. The truth will protect you, I murmured, my heart both swelling and breaking at once inside. I shivered. The truth was powerful, but it was also dangerous. And in this courtroom, danger and justice were about to collide. The next morning, I forced myself to believe in the man I once loved. Maybe yesterday had been a bad day. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as dangerous as I feared. I whispered it to myself like a fragile prayer, though deep down, doubt gnawed every word. When I walked down the stairs, he was already there, sitting on the couch, dressed neatly, hair perfectly combed, and for a heartbeat, I almost believed he was the man I remembered. That soft, charming smile curled on his lips, the one that used to erase every mistake, every hurt. In a single glance, good morning, he said, his voice warm, gentle, as if last night had never happened. He handed me a mug of coffee, the aroma familiar, comforting, but my heart didn't settle. My eyes drifted to his, and froze. There it was again. That emptiness. That cold, calculating gaze hiding behind the warmth he pretended to wear like armor. He kissed my forehead lightly. Last night. Forget it, okay? I love you. His words sounded sweet, but the grip on my waist tightened just enough to remind me. Love shouldn't feel like a warning. We sat down for breakfast. I forced bites into my mouth, chewing mechanically while a storm raged inside. Was I imagining it all? Was I overthinking? Was I the problem? Then he leaned back, arms crossed, the kind of calm that sends shivers down your spine. Since today is my day off, you don't need to go anywhere. Stay home with me. Don't talk to anyone. Don't answer unnecessary calls. I want you all for myself, all right? His words wrapped around me like invisible chains. I nodded slowly, swallowing hard. Saying no was not an option, not today. Not when I had seen the darkness that waited behind that charming mask. Hours passed in tense silence, the kind that presses against your chest and makes every tick of the clock a loud, unbearable beat. Then his phone rang. In an instant, the air in the room shifted. He grabbed it, his mood flipping so quickly it made my stomach lurch. I need to leave. Urgent, he said, eyes flashing. No explanation. No details. Just a command, chilling in its brevity. Don't leave the house. He looked at me as if he owned not just the room, but the very air I breathed. Then the door slammed shut behind him, leaving a hollow echo that reverberated in my chest. For the first time that day, I exhaled silence, sweet, fragile freedom. But freedom was short-lived. His phone buzzed on the dining table. The name flashing on the screen made my blood run cold. Sweetheart, my heart pounded so loudly. I felt it in my throat, in my temples. I reached for his phone, fingers trembling like leaves in a storm. And just as I slid my thumb across the screen, revealing the messages I had feared for so long. The lock screen lit up again. Another message. Another betrayal. Another confirmation of the truth I had been too scared to face. Can't wait to see you tonight. Every carefully constructed lie, every fake apology, every manipulation he had wrapped in charm, all of it fell into place. The puzzle of deceit was complete, and it made my stomach twist with a cold, sinking dread, and yet, I wasn't ready. Not for what would happen when he came home. Not for the confrontation that was waiting behind that familiar, terrifying smile. Not for the storm that was about to shatter my fragile sense of safety. I could only sit there, trembling, listening to the quiet tick of the clock, and waiting for the inevitable. I stood frozen, staring at his vibrating phone, the messages burning into my eyes like fire on paper. "Sweetheart, tonight." My hands went ice cold, trembling as if the words themselves had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart. My breath caught in my throat, shallow and jagged. All this time, all this carefully crafted love, all the smiles, all the warm touches had been a lie. He had controlled me, isolated me, made me believe I was his whole world, while someone else waited for him, sending love-filled emojis that were meant to replace me. It felt like the floor beneath me cracked open. The air turned heavy, suffocating. I dropped the phone back onto the table, trying to compose myself, trying to wipe away the tears before he could walk in and catch me, before he could see the fracture in my soul. Even when he wasn't home, I felt trapped, as though invisible chains bound me to the walls he had built around me. Minutes dragged into hours, each tick of the clock echoing like a threat. Every distant car horn, every creak of the house made me jump. Shadows on the walls twisted into sinister shapes, my imagination turning everything into danger. I held my breath, telling myself I was imagining it. I was safe. I had to be. Then, the front door clicked. Night had already swallowed the sky outside. His presence filled the room before I could even see him, the faint scent of expensive perfume lingering in the air, unfamiliar and alien. He walked in, casually, like nothing had changed, and kissed my cheek. I flinched and turned away before his lips could touch my skin. His eyes narrowed instantly. "What's that attitude?" His voice was sharp, cutting through the silence like glass. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw his phone at him. I wanted to demand, "Who is sweetheart?" But my courage felt fragile, trembling like a candle flame in a storm. My throat tightened. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. "Where were you?" He laughed, slow, mocking, deliciously cruel, a sound that made the hair on my arms stand on end. "Asking too many questions isn't good for you." His voice dropped low, dangerous and invisible, knife tracing my spine. That tone, the one he used when he enjoyed watching me tremble, made me shiver. He brushed past me, heading to the bathroom, leaving the room thick with tension. I watched him go, and in that moment, something inside me shifted. Fear began to change. Awareness crept in. This man, he didn't love me. He didn't care. He wanted control, ownership, power to break me. When he finally emerged, he acted as though nothing had happened. He sat on the sofa, scrolling casually through his phone, deleting messages, clearing notifications, pretending that the truth could be erased with a swipe. But I had seen enough. I had known enough. I saw him clearly now, and the clarity hurt like knives. But it also set something inside me on fire. He looked up at me, smiling slyly. That same charm I once trusted now twisted into arrogance. "Come here," he demanded, his tone casual but carrying the weight of expectation, control, and threat. For the first time, I didn't move. His smile faltered. A storm flickered in his eyes, danger, fury, dominance, and I felt the air shift around us. The war he had been waging silently, controlling every moment, every reaction, was about to begin. But this time, I wasn't afraid, because once a woman sees a man's true face, once the mask falls and the lies are exposed, she can never unsee it, and once she sees it, she can't forget. His eyes locked onto me, sharp, angry, dangerous, like a storm about to strike. The air between us grew heavy, thick, almost suffocating. I could feel the tension pressing against my chest, hear the silent threat in the way his jaw clenched and his breath hitched. I said, "Come here." His voice was low, almost a growl, vibrating with authority and danger. My legs felt like lead, my heart hammering against my ribs. But somehow, I planted my feet firmly on the floor. I met his gaze. No, just one word. One small, defiant word. But it felt like I had pushed over a giant. He stood up slowly, deliberately. Each step measured like a predator circling its prey. His presence filled the room, suffocating, consuming. "What did you say?" he demanded, inches away, his hot breath brushing against my skin. "I'm not your puppet," I whispered, every ounce of my courage trembling under the weight of fear. "I'm not scared of you anymore inside." I was terrified, shaking so violently I could barely draw a breath. My chest burned, my knees threatened to buckle. But something had shifted. Fear was no longer just something to survive. It was my weapon. His jaw tightened, the muscles flexing like steel. "Don't test me," he warned, the edge in his tone promising consequences I didn't want to imagine. Then, he grabbed my hand, hard, fingers digging into my skin. Pain flared, but I refused to flinch. I looked straight into his eyes. "Let go," I said through clenched teeth. "Or what?" His smirk was cruel, mocking. "You'll run to your friends, away. You don't have any left." He thought he had broken me completely, destroyed my world so I couldn't stand without him. That was his biggest mistake. "Not anymore," I said, wrenched my hand free, feeling the sting of his grip fade. "I'm done being your prisoner." His eyes widened, shock and disbelief flickering across his face. For a heartbeat, I thought he might strike me. His fists tightened, his chest heaving with rage. But then, he laughed, cruel, mocking, terrifying. "You think you can leave me?" He hissed, leaning in, whispering like a venomous snake. "You're nothing without me." A chill crawled up my spine. But deeper than fear, a fire ignited inside me. Awareness, resolve. I had finally seen him for who he truly was. "I'm calling my brother. He's coming to get me." My voice was steady, unshakable this time. Panic flashed across his face, brief, raw, before he masked it with anger. "You're not going anywhere," he snapped. He lunged for the door, trying to lock it. But he was too late. I snatched my phone, trembling fingers dialing a number I hadn't dared to call in months. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, echoing with hope and fear. When the voice on the other end answered, I broke. "Bonnie, please, come get me. Now." There was no hesitation, no questions. Just one sentence that felt like salvation: "I'm coming." I hung up and stared at the man who thought he owned me, who thought he could control my every breath, my every move. He had no idea, because the moment I reached out, I had already taken back my power. And from that second on, nothing would ever be the same. The minutes crawled, stretching into what felt like endless hours. Every tick of the clock was a drumbeat of dread echoing through my chest. He paced back and forth, the boards creaking under his weight. Like a caged animal suddenly realizing the cage wasn't mine, it was his. Each step made the air tremble. "You think your brother can save you?" He spat, his voice sharp but trembling now. Not with power, but with fear. The confidence he wore like armor yesterday was gone, replaced by a flickering panic he couldn't hide. I didn't respond. Silence was my shield, my fortress, my weapon. Every moment I stayed still, steady, it chipped away at the illusion of his control. He slammed his fist against the wall. The echo bounced off the corners of the room, loud and accusing. A violent punctuation in the heavy air. A warning. Or perhaps a goodbye to the dominance he thought he still held. "You're making a big mistake," he growled, teeth clenched, lips thin. "You'll regret this." But this time, his threats felt hollow, small, like the sound of a paper tiger roaring in an empty room. Because every tick of the clock brought my brother closer, and with him came safety, justice, and retribution. Then, headlights sliced through the blinds. A car stopped abruptly outside. My pulse surged, drumming in my ears, a wild rhythm of hope and fear. My brother stepped out. Broad shoulders squared, eyes blazing with a fury so raw it didn't need words. He knew, had always known. Every betrayal, every lie, every bruise he left on my soul. He saw it all, aloud. Commanding knock rattled the door. "Let her out," my brother shouted, his voice cutting through the thick tension like a blade. My captor froze. Fear spread across his face like ink and water, dissolving the full weight of dominance he had spent so long building. I moved toward the door, slow and deliberate. He reached for my wrist, one last desperate attempt to hold on to control. "You leave now," he hissed, every word dripping with venom, "and you'll never survive without me." I didn't flinch. I met his gaze, letting every scar, every broken promise, every sleepless night speak for me. I already survived you, I said. Voice steady, resonant, I pulled my hand free, and for the first time, he didn't stop me. When the door swung open, the night air rushed in like the sweetest liberation, brushing my face with the taste of freedom I had almost forgotten existed. My brother enveloped me in an embrace so solid, so protective. It felt like the world itself had shrunk to just us. We're going home, he whispered, voice a tether of safety. As we walked toward the car, I didn't look back, not because the fear had vanished, but because I had finally chosen myself over the shadows of his control. When the car door closed and the engine roared to life, it wasn't just a ride, it was a shattering of chains, the closing of a chapter soaked in terror. It was the end of a nightmare, yes, but also the first bright inhale of a life reclaimed. And for the first time in years, I allowed myself to feel it, hope. The courthouse felt colder than the harshest winter I had ever known. Polished marble floors gleamed under the bright lights, but they seemed to reflect the unease in my chest. Every footstep, every whisper of strangers echoed like a warning, a reminder that truth and courage often have to fight to be heard. I sat beside my brother, clutching the case files as if they were armor, my fingers digging into the edges of the paper. My palms were slick with sweat, not because I doubted the truth, but because truth alone doesn't always win battles in a room full of power and lies. And then he walked in. My heart froze for a moment. Expensive suit, perfectly combed hair, and that same arrogant smirk, the one that always made the world seem like it belonged to him. He walked with the slow confidence of a man who believed rules didn't apply to him. But today, the world wasn't his anymore. He avoided my eyes, yet the smirk spoke volumes. You won't win. I forced my breathing to stay slow, steady like a soldier preparing for battle. My hands tightened around the files, nails digging into paper as if I could summon courage from the pain inside me. The judge entered, her steps deliberate, her eyes sharp, unreadable, but commanding respect. Without a word, "All rise," the clerk called, and the room sprang to attention. Silence fell like a heavy curtain, suffocating in its intensity. The trial began. My lawyer started presenting evidence, photographs of bruises, hospital reports, and text messages that dripped with threats. Each page, each proof, felt like reopening a wound that had never fully healed. Yet somehow, it was also a salve. Every shred of truth brought me closer to reclaiming myself. His lawyer stood, voice sweet and practiced, trying to turn the narrative. Misunderstanding, she insisted. A lover's argument, nothing more. Lies sound plausible when spoken with confidence, but they crumble under the weight of undeniable truth. Then, he was called to the stand. He strutted forward, a perfect picture of innocence in everyone else's eyes. He laid his hand on the Bible and spoke with smooth, rehearsed words. I never hurt her. She's trying to ruin my life. For a moment, the room swayed. The scales of justice seemed to tilt in his favor. He had painted himself as a victim, me as a villain. My chest tightened and fear threatened to crawl into my thoughts. But then, a voice shattered the air. Objection. My lawyer's voice cut through the tension like a flash of lightning, sharp and decisive. She dropped the final bomb, an audio recording. The room fell into an almost sacred silence as his own voice echoed through the courtroom. You're nothing without me. You'll regret leaving. The smirk on his face faltered. Color drained from his cheeks. His eyes flicked toward me, and in that moment, I saw something I had never seen before. Vulnerability, fear, powerlessness. The judge slowly removed her glasses, her gaze cutting straight through him, unwavering. This court does not tolerate abuse, she declared, each word a hammer against the walls he had built around himself. Then her eyes softened, landing on me. Miss, thank you for speaking up. Time seemed to stretch. Those words felt like decades of silence breaking at once. Like a river finally bursting through a dam. Judgment was set. Justice had finally stood for me. And in that moment, I understood something profound. I hadn't come to win against him. I had come to win myself back, to reclaim the life and voice that had been stolen from me. And finally, just finally, I could feel it, the weight lifting, the storm subsiding. The beginning of a life rebuilt on courage and truth. The judge's gaze shifted slowly from the neatly stacked papers to me. Double quotes, Mrs. Villasauer, would you like to testify? His voice cut through the tense silence like a knife. I stood, deliberately, my knees trembling, not from fear, but from the weight of decades of injustice and secrets I had carried silently. Every step toward the center of the courtroom felt like wading through memories I had tried to bury. The room seemed to shrink around me. Every whisper, every pen scratch, every hurried breath of the reporters became a drumbeat echoing in my chest. I drew a deep, steadying breath and spoke. "My name is Linda Villasewer." I paused, letting the weight of that name fill the room. And yes, I once practiced law. A ripple of whispers surged through the courtroom like sparks catching dry leaves. Reporters leaned forward, pens raised, cameras clicking. Even the bailiff's stoic eyes betrayed curiosity. But I didn't leave the law because I failed. I continued, my voice sharper now, cutting through the murmurs. I left because I refused to be corrupted. I looked directly at Jessica. Her confidence, so carefully built over years, began to crumble. Her perfectly polished smile faltered. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across her face. Years of buried pain rose to the surface, raw and unyielding. My last case. My throat tightened, but I didn't stop. I lost it. Not because the truth was weak, nor because evidence was lacking, but because a bribed judge sold justice for money. The memory stung like fire, yet each word also burned away a little of the shame and silence I had carried. That day, my dignity was sentenced. While criminals walked free, the courtroom froze. Absolute stillness. It was as if the walls themselves held their breath. Michael's eyes widened, tears brimming, and Sarah's tiny hand gripped mine so tightly her knuckles turned white. They understood. I had never bowed to injustice, and now they could see it. "And the judge who condemned that truth?" I said, my voice growing firmer. "He was later arrested on multiple bribery charges." Shock radiated through the room. Gasps, scribbling pens, whispers threading through the spectators. This wasn't just a courtroom battle anymore. This was a reckoning. Judge Morales finally leaned forward, not as a judge, but as a witness to the truth. "I can confirm what Mrs. Villasewer has said," he declared, his voice filled with deep respect. "When I was a young lawyer, she defended me. She fights for truth harder than anyone I have ever known." The words landed like thunder. Gasps echoed again. Reporters scribbled furiously, muttering under their breath, "The Queen of Law has returned." Jessica's composure collapsed completely. Her world, carefully staged arrogance and manipulation, was falling apart before her eyes. Her lawyer rifled through documents frantically, as if searching for a miracle that had vanished. Her parents stared at the floor, trapped in the shame of knowing their daughter's lies had been exposed. Michael's tears fell freely, not tears of defeat, but tears of pride and relief. His hand shook as he reached for mine. "My mom," he whispered, voice breaking. I touched his shoulder gently, my own hands trembling. "I'm here," I whispered back, "and I will never let injustice touch you again." Judge Morales cleared his throat. "This court will take a recess. Final verdict will be delivered at the next hearing." Boom. The gavel slammed down, each strike echoing like a heartbeat of promise, of justice returning. As we walked out, the crowd parted, murmuring quietly like the sea retreating. Eyes followed us. Some strangers even offered soft, tentative applause. An elderly woman approached, clutching my hand. "Thank you," she whispered through tears. "You reminded us that justice still has a heartbeat." And I realized the entire city felt as though it were holding its breath, waiting for the verdict that would decide not only our future, but the triumph of truth over lies. Tomorrow, the truth would finally speak. The day of the final hearing arrived like a storm rolling across the city. Unstoppable, heavy, impossible to ignore. The courthouse was packed beyond capacity. Reporters jostled for position, neighbors craned their necks, and strangers whispered among themselves, all drawn here by the tale of a family torn apart, a story that had captivated the entire city. Michael's hand trembled as he held onto my arm. His grip was tight, almost desperate, as if holding me could somehow steel him for the storm we were about to face. Beside me, Sarah clung to my fingers like a lifeline, her small hands warm, fragile, but determined. I smiled at her, projecting courage I didn't entirely feel, while my own heart thundered in my chest like a drum announcing a battle about to begin. Jessica entered next, and she looked nothing like the woman who had once tried to control every corner of our lives. Her designer dress, carefully chosen for intimidation, did nothing to hide the fear in her eyes. Her lips were pressed so tightly that they had turned white, and every graceful step she took seemed weighed down by guilt and panic. Jennifer, her lawyer, walked behind her, a mask of professionalism barely concealing despair. "All rise," the clerk called, his voice echoing like a prelude to destiny. Judge Morales entered. The room fell into an almost sacred silence, every heartbeat echoing against the polished floors. His presence alone seemed to demand the truth, unflinching, unavoidable. He cleared his throat, and the words that followed struck the room like lightning after reviewing all evidence. In testimony, the court delivers the verdict. Time itself seemed to pause. Every eye in the room was fixed on the judge, every breath held, every pulse quickened. The divorce between Mrs. Jessica Torres and Mr. Michael Villaseñor is granted. Jessica's face drained of all color. Her carefully constructed facade crumbled like fragile porcelain. The full ownership of the Chicago house remains with Mr. Villaseñor, as it was purchased before marriage. A whisper ran through the room. Soft but electric. Justice, the word lingered in the air like a promise fulfilled. Custody of the minor. Sarah Villaseñor is awarded to her father and grandmother. Mrs. Linda Villaseñor. My breath caught in my throat. Michael squeezed my hand with a strength that spoke of relief, of a burden finally lifted. Sarah's small body shook as tears poured down her face. Tears that tasted of freedom, of safety, of love reclaimed. Mrs. Torres will receive no financial benefits and may visit her daughter only under judicial supervision, and just like that, the gavel struck, boom, each echo vibrating with finality, with truth, with the end of a nightmare that had haunted our lives for far too long. The courtroom erupted, gasps, whispered applause, murmurs of awe. Michael collapsed into my arms, his body trembling, his tears soaking my sleeve. But these weren't tears of pain, they were tears of relief, of survival, of knowing that the fight had not been in vain. "Mom, thank you," he choked out, voice breaking under the weight of emotions too long held in. Sarah launched herself into our embrace, wrapping her tiny arms around both of us. "I'm staying with you. You and Grandma." Her voice cracked, but her joy rang louder than any courtroom drama could ever convey. I held them both close, feeling the warmth of their presence. Wishing I could shield them from every scar left behind by the past, Jessica exploded in rage, her scream slicing through the room. "This isn't fair. I'll appeal. You can't do this to me." But no one even flinched. Her words fell like stones into a void. Her lawyer whispered urgently, almost resigned, "We've lost." "Accept it." Jessica staggered, her empire of lies and control collapsing around her. Her parents and brothers slipped out quietly, faces lowered, ashamed, unwilling to face the consequences of the path they had chosen for her. I watched them go. Strangely, there was no triumph in my chest, only sorrow. Sorrow for a woman who had chosen ambition over love and lost everything that truly mattered. Outside the courthouse, strangers whispered, applauded softly, some wiping tears from their eyes. "She brought justice back to life," one murmured, and in that moment, I understood they weren't cheering for the courtroom battles, the strategy, or even the law. They were cheering for a mother who refused to be silenced, a grandmother who refused to let lies destroy her family, a woman who dared to stand in the storm and fight, not for fame, not for revenge, but for love and truth, because sometimes true victory isn't measured in wealth or power, but in the hearts you protect and the courage you refuse to abandon. The moment the verdict was finally declared, it felt as though an enormous weight had been lifted from our shoulders, crushing decades of fear, pain, and uncertainty. Michael sank against my shoulder, his body shaking. But these weren't tears of despair anymore. They were the kind of tears that come from surviving storms you thought would never end. Relief poured from him like a river breaking through a dam, raw and unstoppable. Sarah's tiny arms wrapped around us both, clinging so tightly it felt like she was holding on to life itself. Her sobs broke into words, "Grandma, Dad, we're together now." I pressed my lips to her forehead, holding them as if my arms could shield them from every shadow they had faced. Every tear that fell on my sleeve, every shaky breath they took, was now a symphony of triumph, a victory soaked in love, truth, and endurance stopped behind us. The sound of Jessica's voice cut through the courtroom like shards of glass. "This isn't fair. I'll appeal. You can't do this to me." But no one turned. No one even blinked in her direction. Her words, once filled with power and intimidation, now seemed small, almost pathetic. Jennifer leaned closer, whispering gently, almost sorrowfully, "It's over, Jessica. We've lost." She stumbled in her heels. A statue of the lies she had built her life upon now crumbling. Her family followed silently, heads bowed. Ashamed of the empire of deceit they had helped construct, I didn't feel triumph. Only a quiet, profound sadness. She had been part of our family once. Loved, respected. But greed and betrayal had devoured everything human in her, leaving a hollow shell behind. Days passed, and the city seemed to whisper rumors faster than the wind. William, the wealthy mogul behind her schemes, severed all ties the moment she lost. The luxury cars, the dinners, the designer wardrobes, all gone. Gone with the arrogance and charm she once wielded like a weapon. She was last seen carrying boxes to a small apartment far from the city. Alone, pointed at, whispered about. Then, one day, she simply vanished. No goodbyes, no trace. Just silence I didn't celebrate. I prayed quietly that someday she might find a road back to humanity. But my focus was elsewhere. Her home, our sanctuary, finally felt alive again. Morning sunlight poured through the kitchen windows, illuminating a world full of laughter and hope. The nights were no longer filled with screams, but with family jokes, playful shouts, and the smell of dinner warming in the oven. I watched Michael regain his strength, step by determined step, each day a victory over the shadow that had haunted him. And every time Sarah leaped into his arms, shouting, "My dad is my superhero," his eyes sparkled brighter, his soul shining a little stronger with each embrace. We planted flowers in the yard together, watched movies huddled under blankets, and slowly stitched the pieces of our hearts back together. One afternoon, Sarah wobbled across the living room in my old high heels, dramatically waving her tiny hands. "I'm lawyer grandma. I'll defend everyone." We laughed until our sides ached, the kind of laughter that heals out sitting on the porch, watching the orange tree sway gently in the breeze. I whispered softly to Michael, "Justice sometimes sleeps, but it never dies. It only waits for brave hearts to awaken it." He squeezed my hand, his voice trembling. "Mom, I wouldn't have made it without you." "Thank you." I smiled, letting him believe it was simple. I just did what a mother does, protect her family. But inside, I knew the truth. I had fought battles that threatened to break me, stood against lies that could have buried us, and emerged. Victorious. Church bells rang in the distance, their chimes carrying a serenity that felt like a blessing. I looked up at the endless Chicago sky, the sunlight filtering through leaves like a promise. After every storm, peace finds its way back. This house, once a stage of betrayal, anger, and fear, had transformed into a sanctuary, a home where Michael could rise again, where Sarah could grow surrounded by love, and where I, Linda Villasauer, kept the promise I made to my family. I would never let injustice win. Life can take so much from us, our health, our trust, even the people we thought would never leave. But there are two things no one can ever steal: truth and love. They are the light guiding us out of darkness, the compass leading us through storms. Now, I ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you stay silent to keep the peace? Or would you fight with every ounce of courage to reclaim your family's dignity? Somewhere tonight, a mother is crying in silence. Maybe my story is a spark that lights her candle. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Now, on your screen, 2 more stories await. Stories of courage, love, and truth. Trust me, you won't want to miss them. Tell me in the comments, if you were in Linda's place, would you have the courage to fight back? Your voice matters. Subscribe for more real justice stories and don't miss the next story. Linked on screen now.